Hey everyone, and welcome to Real Life Real Crime Daily for Wednesday, April 5th, and I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Mike Agavino.
I feel like we should have had disco music before we started talking today, Mike.
I'm having deja vu. I feel like we did this with disco music just a little while ago. There it is. One of my favorites, although.
You would have had to been in the studio to get that Jack Peeps, but it was funny.
Sorry, folks. We're going to start off with a quick round of updates because there's a lot going on with a lot of stuff. So Nashville shooter update, protests all over the place. The country has lost its freaking mind. I don't know what the hell's going on. Apparently 152 rounds. So we were off in our estimates. 152 rounds were shot. Thank God.
Crazy.
Thank God only 6 of them connected and boy, could this have been a lot worse. But some of what's coming out of this thing just boggles the mind. The spy balloon. Remember the spy balloon that actually couldn't spy, which is why we let it cross the entire country?
It's one of my favorite stories ever.
And then shot it out over the ocean rather than over Montana. It was spying. And it was doing some figure eights, apparently, over some very sensitive parts of the country where our ballistic missiles are housed, and NBC came out with a report on that. So we'll see how the spin doctors do on that. Stephen Smith, body was exhumed over the weekend. We haven't heard anything about the autopsy yet. The other thing of interest is that SLED claims there are persons of interest, but no one with the last name Murdaugh. Maybe that explains why I had to give a case of Shinerbach. I had to give a case of Shinerbach for losing that bet. Maybe.
Courtesy of Drizzly.
And so maybe Buster is only batting from one side of the plate after all. Brian Walsh, remember that sleazeball who earned an honorable mention to the All Woody team for his unbelievable Google searches prior to the disappearance of his wife? Well, he's back in the news because he got arraigned over, I guess it was the end of last week. So all of those things are breaking out there, but let's face it, folks, there's one news story that is dominating. Jim, can you guess what that news story is that's dominating?
Starts with Donald Trump.
It does. It starts and ends with Donald Trump. We're here. It's Tuesday morning. We're literally hours away from this great secret, whatever is in the indictment, being revealed. And so we're going to have a discussion about what we know right now. And obviously that could change significantly later on in the day, but we're going to address what we can address in the moment, what we know. So Donald J. Trump becomes the first ex-president in history to face criminal charges. He's up in New York today to face those charges, to see the district attorney, Alvin Bragg, and to go in front of a judge to be be officially booked. And the number one search term across the globe over the last few days has been Donald Trump mugshot.
Yeah.
And lots of people coming up with some creative mugshots that they're putting out there. And if indeed there is a Donald Trump mugshot that emerges from today, that could become the number one most iconic T-shirt in history, because conservatives are going to have one of those T-shirts and whatever the different sayings are that are on the shirts. And you can bet your ass that libs are going to have that same shirt with a bunch of stuff that they decide to put on it. So I think either way, if the mugshot gets out there, and even if that mugshot doesn't get out there, a bunch of other fake mugshots are going to get out there, and we're going to see shirts with Trump mugshots all over the place.
There's no doubt about it. And it's important to note, Mike, and mention that, look, regardless of what happens, he will be processed like, you know, in famous Trump terms, like no one has ever been processed before.
This time it's not hyperbole.
Yeah. So you have to keep in mind, he is an ex-president and he has a security detail of Secret Service agents. And I can guarantee you there will not be 1 second that Secret Service agent isn't right next to him. He is a former president of the United States. So when they bring him in, you're not talking about when they book somebody for jaywalking and they go in there and they slam their fingers on the, the ink pad and they might fingerprint him and they might mugshot him, but there's going to be 5 Secret Service agents standing right there, and Trump he will not go out of their sight. They won't allow it. So it'll be a little bit different.
You think there's any chance a fight breaks out between the Secret Service guys?
That'd be kind of cool to report on. I got the Secret Service agent all day long on that. They're
I was looking even before I got in the car this morning to see. I still haven't seen a ruling about cameras, because there were a bunch of news organizations that had written for permission to have cameras in different places, and I don't think there were rulings yet that came down. So if there was a fight, we might not be able to see it.
Right.
Unless one of those Secret Service guys whips out his iPhone and records it and then leaks it. But likely there's not going to be.
They already, I'm sure they'll sit down with the police and say, okay, here's the deal. Here's the procedure. You get his fingerprints, we're here. You take his mugshot, we're here. He doesn't leave our site. You're not handcuffing him. You're not doing any of that. And that won't happen. But
it's funny because I think part of Trump probably would actually like to be handcuffed. I mean, I think part of them would like those pictures to be taken, mugshot.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, that's great for promotion.
That's what I mean. I mean, if I'm him and I'm being subjected to everything I'm being subjected to, why not go full
parade me around?
Why not go full bore and get the handcuffs? And folks, you couldn't get away from the story, so I'm sure you've all heard at least some things here. Bragg is absolutely one of these, defund the police prosecutors. He's, I think 52% of the cases that have been brought to him as felonies have been played down to misdemeanors, and so the irony here is a guy who's taking felonies, turning them into misdemeanors, and putting people convicted of crimes back on the street a day later, and sometimes sooner than that, is in this particular case trying to take a misdemeanor and turn it into a felony, at least allegedly, as far as we know. Again, a lot of this is going to come out as the day goes on, and we're going to see exactly what this indictment is for, but it is widely assumed that this pertains to the hush money payments to former porn star, or she's still a porn star, Stormy Daniels, way back in 2016, 2015, 2016. And if that's the case, most legal scholars, even scholars on the left, point to how thin this case appears to be. This is a DA who campaigned on the thought that he was going to indict Donald Trump. So this is a guy who, while he's quote unquote not directly Soros funded, he's partially funded by a PAC that Soros put a bunch of money into. And I would take the fact that Soros and people in the Soros circle are trying to distance themselves from Bragg in the last 48 hours to maybe indicate that this guy might be going rogue a little bit here, because they certainly haven't shied away from that up until now. How did he get the indictment? This is something that I think people generally know less about. And so I think filling you in on a little bit of this, we've probably heard the saying, you can indict a ham sandwich, or for the folks down here, you could indict a shrimp po' boy. The reason that gets said and thrown around is because the grand jury process is a pretty
delayed laughter
unique process. In New York, 23 jurors on a grand jury, 23 people. This is Manhattan. This isn't the boroughs of New York. This isn't some wider geography. This is Manhattan. The borough of Manhattan's voted 80% for Joe Biden in the 2020 election. So this is a heavily Democratic district. You would expect if you put 23 people on a jury, 17, 18, 19 of them are going to be Democrats. In the grand jury, unanimity is not necessary. A majority voting in favor of an indictment, voting in favor of what's known as a true bill, is all that is needed to indict. So if you have 23 on a jury, you need 12 to indict. If 17, 18, 19 of those people are Democrats, you've got a very friendly grand jury there. The grand jury process is a one-sided process. It is the prosecution presenting evidence and the prosecution needing to substantiate with physical evidence, circumstantial evidence, whatever evidence they may have, enough for people to believe there's probable cause to that a crime was committed. So that is the bar. That's how low it actually is to get to the point that we are at right now. In most cases, historically, for what we know right now, we wouldn't get to this point. A district attorney wouldn't go after someone of this stature. And I say go after someone of this stature, again, because all indications are out there that this was a not finding a crime and searching for the person who committed the crime. This is, here's a person we want to get, and what can we get them with, which is not American justice. And so that's why you have so many people weighing in, and that's why the support is as heavily as it is on Mr. Trump's side on this thing, which it really is from the polling. So so that's the process in the grand jury. All we know is that from the leaks that have come out, there's supposedly about 30 counts. That sounds like a big number, but you can have a number of counts against what is basically one crime. And so it sounds a lot bigger than it in all likelihood is. And in all likelihood, it is at least focused on the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels and potentially hush money payments to Karen McDougal, who was a Playboy model that Trump was accused of doing the same kind of thing with, sending hush money payments.
It's Michael Cohen, who is really the star witness, allegedly. If this case does in fact revolve all around Stormy Daniels, which is for all intents and purposes right now, that's the suspicion.
And Cohen is Trump's former fixer.
Former personal attorney, that made this payment to Stormy Daniels. And there's no disputing that. He definitely made the payment to Stormy Daniels. The dispute has always been, did Trump know about it? Michael Cohen gave up his credibility a long time ago. The problem with this entire case is credibility has become a huge issue because Cohen is allegedly their star witness. Now, I'm going to play you one more quick clip, and that is of famed attorney Alan Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz is in this clip explaining some of the issues with Cohen and his credibility and how it can affect this case. So that's right here.
After the comments made by Costello, he has proved that the main witness is going to be a perjuring liar on the witness stand. And that puts the district attorney in a terrible position. If he uses Cohen as a witness, he could actually lose his bar license. It's unethical to put a witness on the stand who you know is lying, and he has to know that Cohen will be lying. Or he tries the case without Cohen, which is very difficult, or he does the right thing. He drops the case. In Get Trump, I go through each of the 4 cases against Donald Trump, and I prove by precedent and evidence that none of the 4 cases has any basis in law. All 4 of them are politically motivated. And I think the worst and the weakest case is the one in New York, which is based on a sworn, admitted perjurer who lied to his own lawyers. Recently a court said if you lie to your lawyer, you lose the privilege because that's so bad. But we know that he lied to his lawyers. His lawyers have essentially broken the privilege and said that he lied to us. He told us he was the only one involved in this payment, that nobody else was involved. How is he going to explain on the witness stand? Did you lie now? Did you lie then?
There's Dershowitz's opinion. And of course, Alan Dershowitz, very famous attorney, a legal expert, no matter which side of the aisle you're on. So that's his opinion. And Mike, I mean, how big of a deal is credibility in your mind in this case?
Look, I think it's huge. I think everything that you sort of can see on the surface, and if you separate out the folks who support Donald Trump no matter what, and you separate the voices from the left that will just say whatever they have to say to support the left, and kind of leave the pile of people with some objectivity here, those people seem to be in solid agreement that unless there's something that's new, that surfaces today, that hasn't been a part of the public discourse on this up until now, unless there's something like that, this was a big mistake that there really shouldn't have been, and especially when you consider that there are 3 other cases out there that same group of, call them, objective independents, all believe are at least incrementally stronger than this case. I think there's the one case that most people say is the strongest case is this case in Georgia. And it's shocking that with those other, call them opportunities, if you're thinking like someone on the left, those other opportunities out there to potentially, get Trump, why would they take this swing of the bat at the hardest pitch to hit right now? Because if they swing and they miss at this pitch, it just becomes, you got Mueller and you got Ukraine and you got this. And how many times have they tried to get Trump and how many times have they failed to get Trump? Well, and so I think it just makes it harder for them to even if they had a strong case in any of those other circumstances, I think, again, unless there's a big surprise, it's just going to make it stronger or make him stronger. And that gets to the sort of, I don't want to say conspiracy theory side of this, but it gets to more the deep strategic side of this. So if you look at the midterm elections, the 2 races that the midterms really came down to was a race in Pennsylvania between John Fetterman and Dr. Oz, and a race in the state of Georgia between Warnock and Herschel Walker. And in each of those cases, the Democrats spent a bunch of money campaigning on behalf of the Republican candidates that won those primaries. So Dr. Oz and Herschel Walker. Why did they do that? They did that because they believed those were the candidates they could beat with their candidates. So they spent Democratic money pushing Republicans through to primary victories that they thought they could then beat in an election, and they were right. Now, tactically, that's pretty slimy. Sure. And so if you're Democrats and you just pulled off what many consider a miracle in the midterms and maintained control of the Senate, and huge reason you did that is you won these 2 races that you had no business winning because you got candidates on the Republican side into those positions that were, inferior candidates versus others the Republicans could have put up. And so the way that this goes, the cynics have it is everything we're seeing, the Democrats are playing a couple of moves ahead on the chessboard, and they want to run against Trump in 24. And so they are doing these things. And this is good because I see you shaking your head, Jim. I absolutely believe this.
I believe that you absolutely
I absolutely believe
I
it.
believe that you do. And what is the motivation for this? Why go after this one? Why would Alvin Bragg do this? And I could answer it for you, but I won't. I'm going to let Larry Trump answer it for you. So Larry Trump was interviewed by Newsmax, and they asked her that question. Why?
To leave it to a Soros-backed DA, Alvin Bragg, to, of course, try to push this forward. This is basically just for his own grandiose image, obviously, and we all know that. He wants to write a book one day. He wants, as you said, to be Attorney General one day. He wants to promote himself and pump himself up. He knows that there is no law that has been broken here. It is not against the law in the United States of America to pay someone for a non-disclosure agreement. Everyone agrees on that. Everyone knows it. He knows there's no basis here. This is for him. This is to throw mud at Donald Trump. This is to, of course, as I just said, prevent Donald Trump from ever becoming president of the United States. Again, the problem, Rob, is I think it's going to backfire on them. The problem is that people see this and they know our constitutional republic is slipping away. If you allow this to happen, they're going to come out and vote for Donald Trump.
So in that clip, you heard Larry Trump. Of course, she's a little bit biased, but her thought process on this, which I don't think anybody can doubt that Alvin Bragg wants to be Attorney General. There's no doubt about it. How do you do that? How do you get on that stage? Well, you indict a former president. And so that's her suspicion. And in addition to wanting to write a book and do all these other things, he's wanting to put himself on the map. This is Larry Trump's belief.
Well, he ran on indicting Trump. So I think at least part of that is true. Mm-hmm. The fear of Trump as a candidate and taking him out is just not substantiated by any data points. For sure, I think Alvin Bragg is ambitious,
self-motivated,
and has his own personal reasons for wanting to do things. He also is going to be up for re-election. He ran on getting Trump. He hasn't gone after Trump. And so, this would be in his political interest. Not so sure it's actually in the Democratic Party's political interest. Saturday Night Live, I guess, had to sideline our pal Alec Baldwin, or he sidelined himself because he's got some other issues he's dealing with. But this James Austin Johnson guy does a pretty good Trump, and they did a bit that you should watch the whole thing, but we've got the first minute and a half or so of it, which will give you the general idea. And here's that clip.
And now, a message from former President Trump.
Hello, thank you. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Well, folks, it happened. I got indicted, or as I spell it, indicated. And frankly, it's time that I come clean, admit that I broke the law, and go quietly to prison. April Fools! That was a prank. I was doing a Jim from Office. But make no mistake, what the radical left Democrats are doing to me is worse than any crime I've ever committed, and I've committed a lot. Close to 34. Some are saying I'm going to use this indictment to rile up my base so that they give me more money. Not true. Not true. I don't want anything from my base except their love, their votes, perhaps their money. And I need their money more than ever. Now, you may have seen I've been opening my rallies with my wonderful song, Justice for All, which I perform with the J6 Choir. That's a very real thing. Very disturbing. Very disturbing. It was the #1 downloaded song. We beat Flowers by Miley, which, as we all know, is about Liam. My song raked in so much cash, I thought, why stop there?
Later in that skit, if you go watch the whole thing, the Mr. Trump says, Me and the First Lady, Melania, are in high spirits. Since the news of my possible imprisonment, I've never seen Melania happier. She's the most beautiful woman in the world. Second only perhaps to many younger, hotter women. I mean, there's some funny stuff in that thing. It's definitely
personally, I found
worth
Alec Baldwin's Trump to be a little more exaggerated, which was funny to me. Like he overdid the little scowl that Trump does, and the orange makeup was double orange when Alec would do it, and they hated each other in person, so it made it even more interesting when he played Trump. But he was so exaggerated with it. I always thought it was funny.
Hey y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glace, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin-baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/reallife. That's GOBBLE.com/real-life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had. Hey ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
All right, y'all. So we are going to move on to some other crime things to get you out of the Trump world.
No, more Trump, please, Jim. More Trump.
How about that, Mike? They're laughing at us now. Oh, but they're glad we're getting away from Trump.
You may have seen the story. It has been all over the place the last 48 hours, and it's pretty sickening. But there's a father, and we're in the state of Florida here, accused of murdering his 2-year-old son and the mother of his 2-year-old son. He was booked into the Pinellas County Jail. His name is Thomas Mosley. He's 21 years old. He's charged with the murder of Passion Jeffrey. She was only 20 years old. And the 2-year-old son that he and Passion had together, whose name is Talon Mosley. Thomas Mosley was accused of killing Passion after celebrating his birthday at her apartment. So she threw a birthday party at her apartment for the father of her son. According to this newly released arrest affidavit from the St. Petersburg Police Department, Passion and Talon, that's the son, were last seen alive 5:15 p.m. last Wednesday, when the last of Passion's family members left her alone. So that's when they left the party. That's the day of the party. Police said Mosley, again, that's Thomas Mosley, the father, was unaccounted for until about 9 p.m. when he showed up at his mother's house. When he showed up at his mother's house, he had gashes on his hands and on his arms, consistent with injuries that would be caused by slippage during a knife attack, something Woody's talked about and Jim's talked about many times. He admitted himself into St. Anthony's Hospital to treat those wounds. Passion's body was discovered at 2:30 p.m. Thursday, so this is the next day, after her family asked apartment staff to do a welfare check on her after they spotted blood on the sidewalk. Unfortunately, the young mother was found in her bathroom on the floor with over 100 stab wounds. Investigators found a bloody fingerprint on a bottle of cleaning solution, which allegedly matched Thomas Mosley's. Investigators found a bloody footprint. Boom, Jim. Boom, Jim. Investigators found a bloody fingerprint on a bottle of cleaning solution, which allegedly matched Mosley's and was intentionally stashed under the bed. The affidavit said there was a bloody shoe print with a Gucci logo in the room where Passion was found as well. We don't know yet whether Thomas Mosley had shoes with a Gucci logo on them. Mosley was identified as a person of interest as police began searching for Talon, the 2-year-old son. But he was reportedly not cooperating with law enforcement while he was in the hospital. Investigators determined Mosley left Passion's apartment at around 8:42 p.m. He allegedly brought Talon to Lake, I'm sorry for you folks in Florida, I think it's Lake Maggiore, and either threw or placed him into the water, according to St. Pete police. Mosley then went to his mother's house, which was about 10 blocks away from the lake. When he arrived, Mosley had those cuts on his hands and arms, as I said. During a news conference on Friday, St. Pete Police Chief Anthony Holloway said officers were investigating the area of Del Holmes Park when they spotted an alligator with something in its mouth in Lake Maggiore. The chief said officers fired one round at the alligator and it dropped the object. Holloway said officers were then able to retrieve that object, which turned out to be Talon's body, which was intact.
Wow.
Holloway said, "We didn't want to find him this way, but at least we can bring some closure to the family now." According to Passion's family, she had just started living on her own while taking care of her son. This was her first month to have lived there, and they were very happy there. It was a better place than what she had before, said Theo Brickhouse Sales, who's Passion's great aunt. And for a 20-year-old, she was doing well. She wanted more out of her life. Thomas Mosley now faces 2 first-degree murder charges and remains in the Pinellas County Jail. As of this report, he has an appointed public defender and pled not guilty to those charges during a hearing on Saturday morning. He's being held without bond and was ordered not to have any contact with Talon or Passion's families. Police indicated that he may have, quote, mental health issues. And he's got a lot of things. There's a GoFundMe that was started in Talon's name to help pay for funeral arrangements, etc. Holloway said investigators are trying still at this moment to figure out whether Talon died before he went into the lake or after. Let's hope it was before, folks. Not a fun
terrible
story.
No. Mike, did you watch the basketball game this weekend?
Which one? There were several.
The only one that matters if you're in South Louisiana. Our Lady Tigers are now the national champions.
Well, are you saying that that Pelicans games don't matter to folks in South Louisiana?
Oh, they matter, but
the
not
Pels
like
are
that
striving
LSU
for the
game.
playoffs.
Yeah. Well,
I did watch LSU win the national championship.
Well, and I'll tell you what, we talk about a lot of things on this show, whether it's robberies, murders, whatever. Even us as hosts that are bringing you all this current crime, we need things to lighten us up every now and then. We try to bring you some lighter stories, but I'm going to bring you a positive story that started out as a crime, and it was directly related to crime. But it's something when I'm done telling you about this story, it's going to make you feel good. So I'm going to tell you just the quick story of Alexis Morris. Now, out of high school in 2017, she was rated the number 6 guard in the country and the number 18 overall player. She was a 5-star recruit, Mike. Top of the food chain. So she signed to play basketball at Baylor for Coach Kim Mulkey. Now, Baylor, several national championships. Coach Kim Mulkey goes without saying how awesome she is. So she was obviously very good to even sign. And Kim Mulkey had known Alexis Morris since she was like 7 years old. She had been going to Kim Mulkey's camps, right? For those of you that may be unfamiliar with Kim Mulkey is arguably one of the greatest basketball coaches of all time. I'd say it would be either her or Pat Summitt, having been an All-American at Louisiana Tech. And if you knew her back then, she was the girl in pigtails. She went on from there. She played in the Olympics in 1984 for the women's team. Of course, the men's team was led by Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and all those guys. Probably the best men's Olympic basketball team in history.
Dream team.
The dream team. She was a gold medalist in the Olympics, and now she is the holder of a 4th national championship. Matter of fact, Mike, she is the only coach to win a national championship as a player, an assistant coach, and a coach.
Probably the only one to do it for 2 separate schools.
It might possibly be, yeah.
Well, Pat Summitt was all Tennessee, and Gino was all UConn. So
we say all that to say Coach Mulkey's the real deal, right? So she recruits Alexis Morris, y'all, and Alexis Morris played 1 season for Coach Mulkey, and following an arrest was kicked off the team at Baylor. Morris was arrested for allegedly assaulting another woman inside a dormitory hall. Then, 3 months after that, Morris was arrested yet again on marijuana possession and possession of an illegal substance. Her basketball talent, Mike, was undeniable, though. And she eventually landed at Rutgers after several stops throughout Texas A&M. She ended up leaving there, going to Rutgers. And there she struggled. She played in 20 games. She averaged about 6 points. And one thing she longed to do was play for the one coach that never let her get away with anything and demanded she be better. She wanted to play for Coach Mulkey. Now, Mulkey left Baylor after 20 seasons to coach at Louisiana State University. And Alexis Morris, at the same time, entered the transfer portal. Mulkey, who after her first season at LSU was looking at having to pretty much completely rebuild a roster, picked her up and offered her a scholarship. Now think about that. Alexis was no longer a star with that 6-point scoring average. And here is a Hall of Fame coach who had already kicked her off of a team years earlier, signing her to a scholarship. Well, Sunday I watched, with only a few minutes left in the game, in a stubborn and insanely talented Iowa team coming within 7 points of LSU in the NCAA national championship game. I watched Alexis Morris in the critical moment put the team on her back and lead the LSU team to victory with 21 points overall and 9 assists. She went from a player that was kicked off a team to multiple arrests to back on a team playing for the same coach that kicked her off another team years prior. Now, after LSU's victory, Coach Mulkey was asked about that.
Alexis Morris, known that child since she was in the 7th grade. Went to a private school there in Beaumont, Texas. Came to my camps many years. That smile, that spunk, never, ever has that child ever disrespected me in any way. Ever. And when I had to dismiss her, it was for the sake of the locker room and the sake of making a tough decision to not lose your team. Those decisions a lot of coaches don't want to make. And I had sleepless nights over it because I loved Lexus. There are many people you dismiss from a team and you say, good riddance. You're a cancer in the locker room. She was not. She wandered to a couple schools here and there, never spoke to her the entire time that she was at Rutgers or A&M. Couldn't. The rules don't allow it. But when I got the LSU job, she basically said, Coach, I need you in my life. I'm coming back to play for you. You're thinking, this is a kid who owned her mistake. This is a kid who never blamed a coach. How many of those articles do you write? Everybody likes to go, oh, the coach is a bad person. Oh, the coach did this. Alexis would never let him write that story. She did it to herself. And you wonder why some coaches will take a kid like that back? That is a valuable lesson for all of us as parents. Parents want to blame coaches. And look where she's sitting today. Look where she is sitting today. What a remarkable story.
Now, my point to all this is sometimes, even in the world of crime, all you need is someone who believes in you and someone that will hold you accountable. Look at where Alexis Morris is now. And it's all because Kim Mulkey gave her a second chance.
Beautiful. That's
that's an unbelievable. You couldn't write that.
No, and I liked her game. She's cute too. She did a little stink face at one point in the game that was cute. But I do have to ask.
Yes.
The coaches' outfits.
Love them.
It's great that they won, and then it's also the first LSU national basketball championship ever.
Never got past the Final Four.
So no Shaq, no Maravich, no
Simone Augustus. Two-time National Player of the Year, played at LSU.
All the great.
They only made it to the Final Four with her, and she was at that game.
No Randy Livingston. I had to drop that in. Coach Liv.
God.
Coach Liv never won one there. That's amazing. Great for them, and congratulations. And I'm just glad South Carolina lost. And I do love the Caitlin Clark from Iowa who can light it up from anywhere, 40-foot jump shot. So
generational
it's fun.
talent.
And that was some unprecedented ratings over the weekend for those games, and that's really good for women's college basketball to draw those kinds of audiences. It hasn't happened historically. So that's
absolutely, it's comparable to what Tiger did to golf. You know,
wait. What's comparable to what Tiger did?
What she has done for women's college basketball in this short span of time is comparable to what Tiger Woods did to golf when he entered the pros from college. From Stanford, he went in and everybody started watching golf. Before that, nobody. I watched golf. I was a Faldo fan.
No, I'm not. Trust me.
I was a Shark fan.
I'm not going to argue against Tiger's impact on golf. Tiger's impact on golf might be the biggest impact any player in history has had on any sport, and there's nothing that compares to that.
How dare you leave Greg Norman out of the conversation?
There's nothing that
the Shark.
There's nothing that compares.
I've never won a major.
Jim, Norman. Let's go to the great state of Colorado.
Yes, it's cold there.
And what better setting for a nice axe murder?
I couldn't think of a better setting.
That's just what I was saying. Don't think of a better place for an axe murder than Colorado.
If I was going to axe murder somebody, that's where it'd be.
And this is an interesting multiple axe murder. Authorities arrested a Colorado man for allegedly murdering his wife and his daughter with an axe after he said he lost his job and was afraid for his family to experience homelessness. And so if you're worried about your family having to go through the potential of losing their home, what better way to comfort them than to take them out with an axe, is what I always say.
That's my philosophy.
So Arapahoe County court records indicate that Reginald McLaren has been charged with first-degree murder. According to the Englewood Police Department, McLaren, who is 81 years old. I don't think I could bench press an axe when I'm 81. I mean, 81 years old. He's accused of murdering his wife and daughter with an axe and then stuffing their bodies into individual trash cans in their Englewood, Colorado living room. Police say one of the victims was also dismembered with a saw. All of these things, obviously, far better than potential homelessness. The Denver Post identified the victims as Bethany McLaren, who was 70, and Ruth Jennifer McLaren, 35. I'm just shocked that a 35-year-old couldn't fight off an 81-year-old with an axe. But according to a police news release, McLaren allegedly called 911 on Saturday to report the killings. But he allegedly told police he knew the suspect and that the person who killed them used a hammer. Now, a hammer is going to leave a good mark, but probably a different mark than an axe is going to leave, I think. So,
definitely the forensics would be different on those two.
Yeah, I don't think it took them. I don't think the coroner had to get involved. I think during the investigation, police said they developed enough probable cause to arrest McLaren. Yeah, I think that probable cause was all over the living room. So now the Associated Press is reporting that McLaren allegedly confessed to killing his wife and daughter, claiming he did so because he recently lost his job working at a company where he often interacted with individuals experiencing homelessness. So his job called for him to interact with the homeless, which is why he had such a keen understanding of what that life would be like and why he wanted to spare his wife and his daughter from that kind of an existence. So unable to pay rent, he feared homelessness. McLaren allegedly told police he knows they, meaning his wife and daughter, are in a better place. And he didn't regret their killings. Maybe they would have liked a different mode of transportation to that place, I'm thinking. I don't know. But McLaren said he knew what a miserable life homelessness was. He was assigned a public defender, but it's unclear at this point if he has entered a plea. He actually was scheduled to make a court appearance yesterday, and we'll try and follow up with where Mr. Reginald McLaren, the 81-year-old axe wielder who did it all because he wanted to spare his wife and daughter from a possible life of homelessness.
Jeez. Horrible, horrible story, though, in all honesty. And
spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser-cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdowns scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill. And calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
So Mike, one of the most requested segments we have in this show is, they stole what? There's something compelling about preserving one of the greatest brains in history. So keeping Albert Einstein's would be understandable enough, right? If he had given permission. Einstein asked to be cremated with the ashes scattered secretly so no one would consider the site special. But Thomas Harvey, the doctor on call, when Einstein died in 1955, removed the brain without the family's permission so he could do scientific research on the brain of a genius. He kept the jar with the organ in a beer cooler for more than 2 decades until a reporter found it. And that is your
wait a minute.
story.
A reporter found it. How did
a reporter? The story cut off then. So,
oh my God!
Maybe next week we'll tell you how the reporter found it.
Inquiring minds need to know.
True story. Yes, he wanted to be cremated, and the doctor took his brain, didn't tell nobody because he wanted to study it, kept it in a beer cooler for more than 2 decades. A reporter finally, I guess, discovered the brain. He admitted to it being the brain of Albert Einstein.
Maybe they then used it for the first versions of AI or something. I don't know. That's there's
crazy story.
More to be uncovered with Albert's brain.
Well, and it definitely makes you say, they stole what? We're going to get better at that, folks. I promise.
Oh, come on. How can you get any better than that? I got a story I need to share.
Yes.
Because you know how much I love the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah. You and Rocky Balboa.
Well, you know how much I love the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah. Do you really love
my
the
least
city?
favorite place on planet Earth?
No New Yorkers like Philadelphia for some reason.
No non-Philadelphians like Philadelphia. I don't know anyone that's not from Philly that likes.
What could not be to like? The Liberty Bell?
It's not. It's the sports fans. They're the worst sports fans on the planet. So if you are a New Yorker or you're from Boston or you're from DC and you compete against Philadelphia teams in multiple sports, you learn to hate Philadelphia because they just have obnoxious fans.
For Philly.
Sorry, Philly people. I checked and we have like 23 Philly people. Sorry. I don't know what the actual number is, but a suspect told the Philadelphia police that he kills homeless drug addicts so that they can be reincarnated.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, right, Jim? No?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's a good headline, no? I don't know what he's showing me Trump. Trump with a fist up. The fist is up.
It's breaking news. He is surrendered.
Oh, so we're still on the front end of this thing. This is just
he's just getting out the car and he's...
Okay, what's he wearing? He's got a red tie? A power tie?
Of course he does.
He's got a power tie going.
Yeah,
nice. How red does he look? He's toned. I like his skin tone. No, his skin tone looks good. Look at his skin tone compared to the guy in front of him. That's a guy.
Like me. That's me.
That's a guy who spent a New York winter next to the
He's got the same sky.
guy off the plane from Palm Beach. Not good. The Donald looking good there. So we'll see how that goes. And the way this episode is going, Jim and I will still be here when Trump gets back on the plane to Florida. So Antonio Sanchez walked into the 25th Police District in Philadelphia 2 evenings ago and confessed that he had just shot a woman to death. He said, "I blew her shit up." That's a quote. "I blew her shit up." To show he wasn't kidding, Sanchez, according to the police report, handed over a black Glock 22 .40 caliber semi-automatic pistol loaded with 8 9mm rounds in the chamber. The suspect gave the police 3 more live rounds that he had tucked into his pants pocket. When asked why he shot the woman, according to police reports, Sanchez said that he, quote, "kills homeless and drug addicts so they will be reincarnated and start a new life. If you find any homeless people shot dead in the city, I did it," Sanchez told detectives. The victim, however, was still alive and was already known to police. So earlier that night, officers in the 24th Police District in Hunting Park had received a radio call about a female shot in the head on the 1900 block of East Orleans Street in Kensington. At that location, officers found a witness tending to the victim on the side of the road. Detectives took the victim to Temple University Hospital, where she stated that she had been followed from Kensington Avenue to East Orleans Street by a man who was wearing a black hoodie with white letters on the front. The attacker shot her in the head and fled on foot. Surveillance video recovered by the police showed an attacker shooting a woman in the back of the head and running east on Orleans Street. He was wearing a tan jacket, a black hoodie, and white and orange letters and black and white sneakers. As he was running, the video shows the attacker was attempting to clear his weapon after it apparently had jammed after firing one shot. While detectives were still processing the crime scene, they were notified that Sanchez had turned himself in at the 25th Police District, which is located next door to the 24th Police District on the 3900 block of Whitaker Avenue. For those of you who don't know the city of Philadelphia, I apologize. I actually don't know where all these locations are. The detectives were also told that when he turned himself in, Sanchez was wearing the, quote, exact clothing depicted in the surveillance video from the shooting on Orleans Street. 2 police officers from the 25th District brought Sanchez to Temple University Hospital, where, according to a police report, the victim, quote, immediately identified Sanchez as the male who followed and then shot her. Sanchez, 33, of North Philadelphia, has 9 prior arrests, including 5 drug busts. He's been convicted 5 times, including 3 times for drugs, simple assault, and a gun charge. As of March 25th, 2021, Sanchez had been on probation, and because of a prior felony conviction, he was prohibited from carrying a gun. The Glock turned into police by Sanchez was reported stolen earlier that day by Sanchez's own brother. When Antonio Sanchez was brought in by detectives, he voluntarily waived his Miranda rights and confessed that just a few weeks earlier at the corner of Orkney and Lehigh in North Philly, he had shot a man in the chest and stomach with a .38 caliber firearm. The detectives were already aware of that shooting and had obtained surveillance video identifying Sanchez as the attacker in that crime. But when the detectives sought an arrest warrant from the district attorney's charging unit, the warrant was declined because the DA wanted more evidence. So this nutjob, who came in and confessed to that one shooting, had also committed this other one. That was caught on surveillance. He was arrested, but the DA did not charge him because they wanted more evidence. So surveillance camera evidence was not good enough. Police sources, however, say that the DA had plenty of evidence to lock up Sanchez. But instead, thanks to the incompetence of the DA's office, Sanchez was back on the street again so that yesterday he could shoot another victim. The victim of Sanchez's most recent attack is a 47-year-old white female. So just another example of these policies from these DAs that are putting criminals back on the street, that are endangering citizens in these big cities. And here we have a guy who should have been put away for any number of priors, but certainly this murder that he was caught in surveillance video and was not, and was free to do more harm.
Today in true crime history. Hey,
much better intro like
in the future. And that was sent in by one of our fans, Mike. Today in 1970, the Newhall incident, a shootout occurs and 4 California Highway Patrol officers were killed by 2 armed gunmen. In 1986, John Clary is murdered in Stoughton Hall at Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
I know it well.
Her death helped pass the Clary Act, a law that will require universities to report crime stats and to alert students of on-campus dangers. And I think that is actually, I was familiar with the Clary Act, and I think that doesn't get talked about often, but it wasn't until 1986 they even had to report that. That blew my mind when I read that. So you do learn some things listening to our show. And in 2009, Bernice Novak is found dead in her garage in Fort Lauderdale. Initially, her death was ruled an accident, but her son was murdered 3 months later, resulting in her death being ruled a homicide. Her son was the heir to a Miami Beach hotel. That is today in true crime history. Never get tired of that.
You know what that made me think about? I noticed this the other day, and I have to go watch it. But the story of the dad who ran the brothel out of the daughter's college dorm.
Oh yes,
at Sarah Lawrence.
Yes,
there's a Netflix series on that just came out. Yeah, so
that is a crazy story.
We're gonna have to watch that one. That was, I don't know why Lehigh made me think of Sarah Lawrence, but it did. Do we have a soundbite for dumb criminals segments?
Oh, yes, actually we do, Mike. I'm glad you asked. There you go.
Okay, were those sent in by?
Yes.
They were. So for our dumb criminal segment, we have a fugitive who was busted after applying for a job at New Jersey's sheriff's office. Then we say hide in plain sight.
Yeah.
She closed at least one case on her own. A fugitive wanted for fraud was busted when she walked into a New Jersey sheriff's office and asked to be hired, according to police.
There you go. That's smart.
And you don't get any smarter than Zaima Johnson, who's 27. She's a former postal service worker from Jersey City. She was on the run for a crime in Monroe County, Pennsylvania, when she applied to work at the Hudson County Sheriff's Office. She sent in her paperwork. That was to be a security guard at the law enforcement agency. She was called into the station under the guise of a job interview and arrested on Tuesday. After the alleged foolhardy fraudster was busted, the officers allegedly discovered 2 stolen credit cards, and she was also hit with credit card theft charges. Prior to applying for the job, she was also wanted on 10 bench warrants for failure to appear in court on traffic charges in Jersey City. So,
wow.
Zaima Johnson, 27, not the sharpest tool in the shed.
That's your dumb criminal segment for today, and she is a dumb criminal indeed, Mike. Until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Mike Agavino.
And for Real Life, Real Crime Daily, peace.
Shabusiness.